if you could, I'd appreciate you just, kind of, walking me through what it's been like since, the stuff first kind of, came out and y'all had
Yeah,
to,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's been it's been different. I will say that. It's been very different. We
Mhm.
haven't been at the station since I want to say third week of March. They told us to pretty much start working from home and just kind of get creative. So usually we are, at the station. We got all the gear, all the teleprompters, and all that. So then now all reporters have tried to get creative. Maybe just kind of spruce up their homes a little bit. I have a game room. You can see some of the game room behind me. So I've kind of added some of that into the mix of some of my shots and stories. So it's all about adjusting, man. You can still tell great stories. You just have to do it a different way.
I see. And I know how, I'm sure, because you were obviously probably following the drafts and all that over the weekend. And I know a lot of people, the consensus was that I think a lot of people liked the new format. Well, I say new, I mean, it's not, we don't know if it's like a permanent thing, obviously, but just with seeing athletes at home with their families and, reacting to getting picked and just the kind
Right.
of, the relatable aspect of that, yeah, and I didn't know, for y'all, are there things y'all have discovered during this time as sports reporters of like with Zoom interviews and stuff that you're like, man, we should implement more of that in the future?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. You see all these shows on TV. You mentioned the draft. I like the draft format. Have a bunch of crazy yahoos screaming out in the crowd that are dressed up like it's Halloween. Just get down to business, man. Just like knock it out. Let's pick these guys, go to their homes. They're with their families where they should be instead of being in some back room anxiously waiting for a call, cameras on them all the time. I thought this was pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's big money. The draft, they sell tickets and businesses once they start opening up. They were in Chicago, Nashville. I know that helps the NFL out and their brand. I get it. So it's probably going to go back to that, but I kind of liked it. I thought it was different. It was fun. Uh, it made it seem a little bit more personal, and I think that's what all these things are. It's a little bit more personal. Now, there should be a tutorial, and I don't know if I'd pass right now. There should be a tutorial on how to frame Zoom interviews because I've seen them all over the place. Like I've seen this, I've seen this, I've seen this. Like it's been all, it's
Yeah.
been all over. So that's like, there should be a class. Like Zoom should run this class, like a really brief tutorial. But other than that, I think it's kind of cool because people get to just sit at home and just be, who they are in their own environment, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think because like I remember when I interned with y'all this past summer, just talking about when you're out in the field shooting game highlights or footage like that, and really anything you want to make it as appealing as you can for like the TV audience. So it's like
Yeah.
even with
No,
Zoom,
it's true, and it is a little tough. It's tough to make stories like this, like fun feature stories, a little bit more interesting this way. But our station's kind of implemented rules
mhm.
that you can't do face-to-face interviews unless you're like 10 feet apart. You can't put lavalier microphones on people. So it is a little challenging when you're trying to do a feature story and trying to get natural sound and all that sort of stuff. You can't do that now, but you could get creative. Like we did a story, photographer and I, Mike Orta, you know him.
Oh yeah. Oh
You know,
oh
you know
wait,
him
no,
well.
who's that? Yeah,
Yeah, I know him well.
yeah.
So anyway, we did a story on a drive-through margarita place, and it got a pretty good response. But Mike got creative. Now I couldn't be out there with him because again, social distancing and all that.
Yeah.
I couldn't be out there with him, but he actually put the wireless microphone on the drive-through speaker.
Oh,
So that's how he was able to get that audio. So you just got to get creative. It's all about getting creative. It's like any other business, like restaurants, when they open up, they got to get creative, got to spread everybody apart until there's a vaccine or people feel comfortable. That's basically the name of the game now. How can each business, each industry get creative to stay afloat? And that's what we have to do in news too.
I see. So as far as the stories y'all been covering, have y'all had to, like you, Jason and Matt, have y'all had to cover any news stuff as far as like the coronavirus and its impact, around here in Houston or, in sports
No,
wise, like, yeah.
No, we haven't done that. Like the first day, I
Okay.
think they were gonna make me go out and do something on like star testing, and that was the day of the DeAndre Hopkins trade. So as
Oh,
soon as the Hopkins trade went down, the city was lit on fire, and that was basically my responsibility that day. So I actually haven't had to cover like news. So I've always kind of found the sports news angle to it.
I
Like
see.
there are no sports, you can't run highlights. There are no sound bites. Now with the draft, the Texans made some of these guys available via Zoom interviews, which again is great. Like before, we didn't do that. Before, we just had teleconferences, just voice conferences. But now we have teleconferences. So it's a lot better this way. So maybe some of these new techniques will be implemented for years to come. But yeah, it's all about finding like a sportsy news angle to it. And I know Jason's done like his new series like weird things or strange things in Houston history. So he's kind of gotten creative that way. So that's what trying to get something different on the air. That's all it's all about.
I see. So I was curious too, Daniel, about like as far as I know, I was watching Sports Extra last night, and I saw Jason. It looked like was in the studio, maybe like I guess what is it, the lifestyle studio or up at the station?
Yeah, the Great Day Studio. It was in the
Great
Great
day. Okay.
Day.
So
Yeah.
I was just curious, how have y'all just been rotating on Sunday Sports Extra, or as far as like who goes and anchors and all that?
No, well now since I'm on paternity leave, I'll be gone for a couple of weeks. But then we usually just got together every Sunday in the Great Day Studio, and we had different spots in the studio. So Jason was in the kitchen, I was in the interview set, and then Matt was in the like near audience area. So it's like 3 different camera shots so we can all get on the air. So we're still able to do Sports Extra from the studio, but other than that, we can't go to the station. They told us to stay away. But we're still able to put on that show. And Jason usually does it. But I think he's going to be off here coming up soon. So I think maybe Matt will fill in or whatever. I mean, so we still put on a show regardless of what it is. We do phoners instead of interviews. Phoners seem to be working out fine.
Okay.
People aren't too picky these days, man. They just kind of want like content, want different type of content. And they know, I think people at home know that it's going to be different. It's not going to be the standard, hey, guys talking in the studio. It's going to be something a little more unique. And given the fact that people already are embracing that, makes it easier to put on a product, I think.
I see. Yeah, and with this kind of advent of Zoom and everything, I mean, is it kind of nice to not be in a media scrum or whatever when you're trying to interview like
Yes.
an athlete? You know, like
No,
you just get that
that
one-on-one.
is fantastic. That is great. I don't really miss that. So like you can just directly call these guys and be like, hey, can we just do a quick interview? They just jump on their phone or a computer and we knock it out and then we move on. Or if there's going to be like, I think Laramie Tunsil's going to be talking about his new deal coming up. So the Texans will host a video conference call. So Laramie will be there. They did it with Bill O'Brien before the draft. So Laramie will be there answering questions. All the reporters kind of chime in. And I think the Texans take a list of who's going to ask questions in what order. And so that's just the way it is.
Okay. Very cool. And I didn't know too, as far as like high school sports, I know they've like the UIL and all that, they've canceled the spring. And so have
Yeah.
y'all been doing many features on local high school athletes or any of that really? Is that?
No, leading up to the draft, it's been primarily guys that are working out going to get drafted. I know
Totally.
we did stuff on CD Lamb. I know around the Olympics, and then Matt talked to Simone Biles. Different things like that. Now I don't know what we're gonna do. Just kind of try to find just something unique.
Yeah.
Different type of stories. Again, phoners are huge. You don't have to all be on Zoom, but no, it's just weird in the sense that you're just trying to find some different things to do.
I see. Did you, Jason or Matt, were any of y'all working on any projects? I know like similar to kind of the North Shore, video that
Yeah.
y'all put together. Did any of that, were y'all working on anything that's gotten kind of postponed?
Yeah, I mean, so every year, like we do a high school show,
Mhm.
the High School Hard Knocks. So North Shore was last year. This year, I don't think we're going to be able to do it, honestly. I mean, it's very hard to convince school districts anyway to let like unprecedented access to the team, microphones, being at practice, being behind the scenes. now with all the precautions that these school districts are going to take safety-wise and cleanliness and just overall the overall product that they're going to put together, it's going to be really hard to convince these schools like, hey, can we come in? And plus, from our end too, they may not give us the go to put wireless microphones on people and to be in locker rooms and do things that we used to do for that show. So that project is up in the air. I doubt that happens this year. We were working on a Comets documentary too. That's all been kind of canceled for now, postponed, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about kind of getting back into a rhythm before we undertake those projects again.
I see. And have they told y'all when things might get back to normal at the station, or when y'all might be able to return? Has there been like a set, like a temporary date or anything that?
Yeah, a temporary date about mid to late May.
Okay.
When we can go back. And then from there, I think it's just kind of taking the guidance of the local authorities, state authorities. If they start opening things up, which in Texas it looks like they're going to, which is great. It's a good thing. I like seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, maybe we can go back right on May 20th. But for now, that's kind of the target date, and we'll see what happens when we get there.
I see. Very cool. And have y'all even given, like, my last thing, much thought? I know the MLB's been kind of throwing some stuff around about their plans for kind of restarting baseball and all that.
Yeah.
Would y'all, if the Astros end up in like Arizona, do y'all have a plan of like how y'all would go about covering that, or would y'all spend a little time there?
No. In fact, if I had to put money on it, I probably don't think we'd go.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd travel. I think I think most stations are doing that. Like it's only essential travel.
Right.
Now you can argue with sports coming back and baseball being what it is, and how important it is to Houston that is essential because people want to see something different.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll go to Arizona. Maybe we'll go to Minute Maid Part 2 up in Arlington. I don't know. Something like that. I don't know what the decision will be made there, but that is above my pay grade. So if they tell me to go, then hey, we'll go. If not, we'll just kind of sit back and wait till the guys come back here to Houston.